All right, we're going to commence with the. We're going to start with the county commission, and we're going to start with our introductions, and we're going to start with Julie.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to Yankton County GOP for putting on this forum, and also for each and every one of you coming. This is a great crowd, and I'm thrilled to see each and every one of you. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Julie Auk. I currently serve as your State House of Representative for District 18. I've had the honor to be in that capacity for the past 4 years. And in my service to you, I've served on the Ag and Natural Resources. Local government was recently reassigned to the Appropriations Committee. And throughout the summer, I serve on the Government Operations of Audit and Audit Committee. I'm married to Gary. He gets forgotten all too often, and he is my right hand. We have 4 children, grown children, and 8 grandchildren. We farm in the northwest corner of Yankton County, and I am a 3rd generation all-women business owner in Yankton, and I'm very proud of that. Started by my grandmother, my mother, and myself. I have been in Yankton County and love this county, and what I love about this county is the people. And serving the people has been an absolute honor. I believe in protecting private property rights, your land, your money, and your personal freedom. And that has been my focus, to fight for you. I stand for God, family, and country, and I am ready to bring that same commitment to Yankton County.
Hi, yes, thanks for GOP for hosting this and Gayville Community Center. I'm Ryan Heine. I'm the current vice chair of the Yankton County Commission. A little bit about me. Born in Yankton, raised in St. Helena, Nebraska, just across the river. Graduate of Cedar Catholic High School in Hardington. Graduate of Parks College of St. Louis University with a degree in electrical engineering, physics, mathematics, and creative writing. From there, I've had my career stops at NASA, multiple defense companies and national intelligence companies, and currently I am a principal hardware and software engineer for image sensing systems in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've been working remotely for nearly 20 years. That's why my wife and I moved back to Yankton in 2014. Michelle, brought her company, Counterfeit Catering, which is now also Farmhouse Food Co., where I also help. I mostly do a lot of technology and books and tasting a lot of food. And we have 5 children, and I'm just really happy that she also opened a coffee shop because I need a lot of coffee to keep up with all my hats. So.
Hi, my name is Robert Gleick. My friends call me Bob. I was born and raised in Yankton County on a small town farm west of Yankton. I'm a graduate of Yankton High School, and I am a retired correctional officer from Mike Durfee State Prison of 14 years. I've turned around and felt that my experience as a correction officer, we have training to de-escalate problems, inmate on inmate, guard against other guards. You know, I believe that by watching the county commission what they're doing, I can give them some input on right and wrong. Of course, they don't like me at public comment, but what I really want to do is have Yankton County move forward. Our biggest issue right now, I believe, is the budget. We're going to have a couple tight years coming up here. It's just the fact of life. We've got to make judgments and decisions, and we got to help the public understand why we are doing situations. And I would really enjoy your public input. If you'd like to talk to me one-on-one, I'll be available for you. Besides that, I'm the only one that doesn't have a job around here.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation to come today. You can go to my website, wenandyforyankton.com, and read my bio, because tonight I want to tell you the story about how I got involved in elected office. So there was this company that wanted to move into our neighborhood. You might have heard of them, Walmart. So people in our neighborhood in Yankton got together, started talking about how do we incent, get people motivated to not have Walmart at the corner of 31st and Broadway. They can come to Yankton. It'd be great to have them in Yankton, but don't put them in my neighborhood. I had 3 young kids under the age of 10. I did not want to have my home right next to a Walmart. So we went to the commission meetings. We talked at length about how this was a bad idea for Yankton to put Walmart on that corner. And we all know how that turned out, didn't we? They didn't listen to us, or did they listen to us? I'm going to say they listened and then thought about the greater good for the community. They worked with us to try and figure out what else could we do for the neighborhood to lessen the impact. So we had some negotiations, and I know I'm going to get the red card, so I'm going to finish the story in my closing.
All right, hello. Is that loud enough now? Hello, everybody. Dan Clemish, I'm one of your currently serving county commissioners. Honored to have been elected 5th generation farmer. I'm a decorated combat veteran. I've served multiple overseas tours of duty. Just really honored to have served. I'm from Yankton County, born and raised in a small family farm just north of Utica. Before my time runs out, I just want to say what a great community Gayville is. I was here on Saturday for Alan Taggart's fundraiser, and this place was packed. And the way Gayville came together to take care of one of their own who's suffering, I just thought that was really amazing. I'd just like to take a moment and thank my wife and my kids. I got 4 kids for running. I have 4 daughters. So sometimes I go to the county commission meeting because there's less arguing than there is at home. So, but they're all great. Again, my family's been part of this community for 140 years. My great grandpa homesteaded in the 1880s, and we've been here ever since because Yankton County is just a great place. And like was said, it's great because we have the people here, and I pray to God every day that I'm going to be here and the family's going to be here for another 100 years. So thank you, guys.
All right. Is there any questions from the crowd for our commissioners? Seeing none, I'm going to start with the top of the list. How will you make county government more transparent, accessible, and accountable to the people it serves?
Well, okay, that's an easy one for me. I've been really working hard on IT for the last 4 years. We are made some progress on modernizing, but the big one is that we need a new website. We actually have to do this. It needs to become ADA compliant. But I see our website right now today as just kind of a page, a poster. But what it really needs to be is a portal. It needs to be a portal to our services. It needs to be a portal of our transparency. We need to have all of our laws very easily indexable and searchable on there. It needs to be able to be a portal to do our county business so that people don't have to wait in lines in the government center. They can get their stuff done online, especially things like permits and paying for permits and paying for licenses. And there's a lot of things that we can do online these days, and it really can make our government work a lot more efficient, and we can be a lot more transparent just through the use of some of this technology that has been maturing very rapidly around us.
I believe the best way that we can make the county commission more transparently is to have the county commissioner be more involved. Back approximately, I'm going to call it, say 4 commissions ago, we had a commissioner by the name of Brian Hunoff would publish an editorial in the paper once a month, giving you information on what the county commission has done and what they had planning. We haven't seen that since Brian turned around and moved on to the register of deeds. We had a comment up at the Utica town hall that we had up there about the county commission coming out to meet you personally at your city meetings where your town board comes together. I don't know how we would get the townships together, but if the county commissioners make themselves more available to you, maybe you can understand why people made certain votes or turned down certain items. But I strongly believe that communication is the key issue. If you want to know something, come ask one of them.
Well, thank you for the question. So, county government being more transparent, accountable, and efficient. I think our county government has done a good job of being transparent. I think they have been responsive to the people. So, I want to thank the people who are running because I think they have done a good job of that. Some of the things that I think we could do a little bit differently to become more efficient. My example is the county commission packet that we have. It has all of the times of agenda items 5 minutes apart. And I have looked at other counties and they don't do it that way. They don't all have times listed. And what I have seen through multiple meetings that I've sat at, they are continually rearranging the agenda because they're inefficient government, moving through it quicker than they thought they might have. And certain things have to be at a certain time and certain things don't. So they're continually moving things around. The way to solve that problem is to take the times off of the agenda and go through the agenda in the order that it's listed. That's what the people would be expecting if they're looking at the agenda and they're going to go back and watch the video to see everything in the order that it was listed on the agenda. It sounds incredibly simple, but from an efficiency standpoint, it would be great. I'm going to bring to the table no drama. I don't believe in that as a part of government. I believe that the government offices should work closer together and we need to communicate with the other counties to see what they're doing. And I agree about the township meetings and the city meetings to collaborate more on those as well.
More transparency and accessibility, I think that's great. I'm going to tell you some of the things that I've been able to do. When I took over, it's been almost 8 years now, we instituted 2 public comment periods, one at the beginning of the meeting and one at the end. And we were nationally recognized for that. And there are very, very few boards in the state that have 2 public comment periods. And we did that to allow you guys to come in, right? But before our time, they had it at the very end after executive session. So people would have to wait around sometimes hours to speak. And so if you can talk at the beginning and the end, that's more accessible for you, and we're one of the few places to do that. Additionally, all our meetings are publicly recorded and put on YouTube. That wasn't the case prior to that. Particularly special meetings and budget meetings, they weren't recorded at all. All of our meetings are right now. And recently, some of our task force meetings, they were proposed to be closed down to you guys. And I fought back, and Commissioner Heine fought back against that. Any meeting the county does should be open because this isn't our government, it is yours. So I stood up, and now all of those meetings are open and they're not going to be closed. And additionally, some of the things we've been kicking around for the long term, several years out, is possibly looking at a Yankton County app to push notifications out to you guys on snow, weather conditions, things like that. And addition, I go out and visit the small towns in those areas. And I got to say something real quick about the times. When you do Board of Adjustment, liquor hearings, and things like that, they're published at certain times. So that's why we do it that way. So thank you.
Well, could you read the question for me, please? Again, I think I know what you're asking.
How will you make county government more transparent, accessible, and accountable to the people it serves?
I think that first and foremost, I know we had a county commissioner who tried to shut down a couple of meetings and not make them public. You need to know what's going on with every penny of your tax dollars. That is unacceptable. And I am so glad that Dan and Ryan fought to make sure that every single meeting is public in our county. I will remember that county government works for the people, not the other way around. I think it is really important that we keep in mind that we are working for you. I cannot tell you how many committee meetings I've been to, how many meetings I've been to with the municipal league or different organizations who believe they know better than you do. They're smarter than you are. As a matter of fact, I've had several of them tell us that we're smarter than you because we have more degrees than you. We know your state better than you do. We know what your community needs better than you do. We want to bring in a Walmart. Well, geez, imagine what our town would look like without a Walmart. We'd probably still have a vibrant downtown. We'd have individuals taking the initiative to open up shops. Does every town need a Walmart? So I'm going to tell you right now, I will listen to the people. I am here to fight for the people of Yankton County.
How, how important is it to have Yankton County taxpayer money being used for public-private partnerships?
Are we talking TIF districts? Is that what the question's all about?
Just how do you use the taxpayer money for public-private partnerships? So yes, that could include TIFs.
Well, it's important that Yankton County sets up like the zoning ordinances and stuff like that, because let's face it, the county doesn't have extra money. There's projects that the county would like to do that's been postponed for years, namely the 3 bridges that haven't been replaced yet. Do you turn around and help the public out for something important like, say, the memorial that we have next door to the county government center? Yes, I increase that. But it's got to be a one-on-one item. You just can't say, we got this money, we're throwing it out here, come grab it and do something with it. It's got to take time. It's got to take planning. And most of all, it's got to take public input for us to decide to do something that's out of the regular lane of a county budget. I don't know how to explain it much better than that. Thank you.
Well, I think we need to remember that no one organization, whether it be government or private, works all alone. There are lots of collaborations that come together for public-private partnerships that create good. What I do in my job as CEO of Yankton Thrive, I work with a lot of those public-private partnerships. So one example would be that I'm incredibly proud of is Gale Drive. A lot of people think, oh, that's just a little short section of road. It is so much more than that. The infrastructure that is underneath that road will serve hundreds of acres that go all the way north up to the airport. So for decades to come, that land can be developed because it will now have access to sewer because of the public-private partnership that came together to complete that project. So the TIF on that project, Thrive is responsible for that. We take that responsibility without the partnership of the city. without the partnership of the state, we would not have been able to complete that project. So I think it's good for Yankton County to explore what partnerships make sense. Are there studies that we need to do that we should be partnering with someone? If we want to get some things done out at the lake, such as a sewer district, are there partnerships that we need to create? We can do more if we work together.
Well, the situation with the counties, and again, every county in the state is financially struggling. We all know what the COVID dollars did, right? They brought in a lot of money, but they massively increased the cost of everything. I'll give you some examples. Chip sealing and truck chassis; those things have all skyrocketed. And unfortunately, what's been happening is the only place to make up some of that budget is the highway department. And I guess I got an issue with if we can't fully fund our highway department and do our roads and bridges, maybe we shouldn't be giving money to other organizations. We should be looking and we should be filling our statutory obligations first. And then if there's funding left over, then we can talk about it. But we're not doing that right now. And unfortunately, it takes 3 votes to get anything done. So we need to focus on the core missions of the county, the things we're mandated to do. Then, if there's funding left over, do it. And it seemed like that was a little bit of a question about TIFs as well. And again, TIFs, I think they can be used effectively, but from what I'm seeing, I think they're being overused across the state personally. A TIF should be used if there's no other way to develop something. And it almost seems now that a TIF is something that's offered first, right? And they can go up to 20 years. They could be less, but it seems like we're giving too much away. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Well, I'm not going to repeat a lot of what Dan said because I agree with him wholeheartedly. A public-private partnership is basically taking your tax dollars and giving it to a larger organization. And I didn't get any help when I started my business. I had to borrow all the money out of my IRA, all my money out of my 401k, and then take another loan on top of it just to start my business. There was no tax dollars helping start my business, except the ones coming out of my pocket. So I don't agree with that. I think what we're doing by funding these public-private partnerships is we are hindering our individuals to start their own business. We have numerous other housing developments in Yankton that have received zero public funding, zero. And then we have Thrive giving out-of-town investors, out-of-town builders, $500,000 plus of your taxpayer money to enhance their business, along with a $500,000 bonus from South Dakota taxpayers that was all spent and paid for with a TIF that was money that was South Dakota taxpayer money that was passed in 2024 of over $200 million to go to projects like this, where we could have given that money back to every single South Dakota taxpayer or helped individual counties. It is a misuse of public funds. We have got to take and rein in these public-private partnerships and make sure that we are taking care of our own people in our own county.
Okay, so I kind of agree with Dan and Julie. I also kind of agree with Nancy. TIFs can be used. They absolutely must be only for public infrastructure. It should never be to help a single business out or to help a single business to be used as an incentive to get a single business into town. I do not believe in that. And I'm going to really kind of go back to a story of 14 years ago when my wife brought counterfeit catering to Yankton from Omaha. We struggled to find a kitchen. We couldn't find a place for her business in Yankton. There was no TIFs. There was no grants. We eventually had to start building out onto our farm and we had to pull electricity, we had to pull water. We couldn't even get data out there because they didn't want to, even if we were going to pay for it. We had to pay for everything ourselves to build and bring our business here. There was no special grant. There was nothing. We didn't get any special help. We had to build it all from scratch right here. And it's been 10 years, well, more than 10 years now, 13 years. It's finally taken off. We finally have 12 employees. That's why we got to be very careful with tips because we are picking winners and losers.
All right, this is a question from the crowd. How can individuals, if elected to serve on the county board, county commission, serve, thrive, and not have conflict of interest?
Well, I'm not sure what the conflict of interest would be because the county does not give Thrive any money at this point in time. They had a pledge several years ago that has been paid in full, so there's no money from the county that is going directly to Thrive. What I do want to correct, though, is the mistruth that was spoken earlier by one of the other candidates, because I'm here to speak the truth. You don't have to like what I say, but I will say the truth. And no tax dollars were given as an incentive from Thrive to this housing project that we're working on called River City Flats. Those were private dollars that were invested by individuals and companies in the Yes for Capital campaign. The money that we receive from the city goes into the operations for tourism and economic development, but it is not used for those types of projects. So I just wanted to clarify that point, and I don't know if anyone else wants to answer that question.
What was the question again? It's been a bit, so.
How can individuals, if elected to serve on the county commission and also serve on Thrive and not have a conflict of interest?
Yeah. Well, this is kind of concerning in a way because, I've done a bunch of training with the county. And when you sit as a board adjustment, you sit as a quasi judicial board, which is similar to a court of law, not the exact same thing. So you need to be open on all of this. And I know Thrive gets talked to with a lot of business, and they sometimes help the businesses come into town. And then now you're sitting on, we'll give an example, the wind turbine farm, right? If they had a meeting with them and then now you're sitting on voting for or against it, that would seem like a conflict of interest. And I'll give you an example. If you were getting, if you're getting prosecuted or something in a court of law and you found the judge and the prosecutor went on vacation and talked about your case the week prior to your trial, you would probably say that's not fair, right? And so to keep it fair, if those events would happen, the right thing to do would be say, I have a conflict of interest and not vote, right? Even if it's not financial, and you would need to disclose that ex parte information that, hey, I had a meeting with these people, 6 months ago, right? And you can exclude yourself voluntary, or 2/3 of the board can vote and say this person has a conflict of interest. So, thank you.
So I think it's a direct and complete conflict of interest. Thrive deals with a lot of non-disclosure agreements, especially when it comes to businesses that are trying to come to Yankton County, the area. And of course, when you're a county commissioner, you make consumer use permits agreements. You deal with ordinances. You deal with the zoning. So you have kind of an inside understanding or knowledge that no one else is going to have when you're sitting on Thrive and the county commission. It is a direct and complete conflict. And it's a conflict for your voice. It's a conflict against you, the taxpayer. Because when we are giving goodies to these private public partnerships because of extra knowledge that you have, the taxpayer is abused. The taxpayer loses. And the only people who win are the ones who are getting the goodies, like a hyperscale data center who wants 50 years of sales tax rebates to come into a community. They also get the CO2 tax credits. So do wind farms. So when someone in an executive director position, such as an economic development company like Thrive, has that additional knowledge, they can use that to enhance their position. It is an absolute, complete, direct conflict to the county commission position.
Okay, so yes, I agree with like Dan and Julie says too. Again, there's definitely possibilities of conflict of interest. That is why we have 5 commissioners, so that Nancy, when she does have a conflict of interest, can step out. That is the purpose of having more than one, more than 2. Recently, there was a case where in Cedar County where out of the 3 commissioners, one had a conflict of interest, had to step out. They were down to 2, and they couldn't even make a decision anymore. It just stops the business, and so that's why we have 5. Having a little bit larger board allows us that luxury of when there is a true conflict of interest, that one of us can step back. I know I've done it in the past. There's been a time when we even asked John to do it once because we all discussed it as commissioners openly, and we felt that would be the better choice to do. And that's part of the responsibility of being a commissioner. You're not just looking out at your conflict of interest. You're looking out for the whole board, because we want to keep the county out of trouble. So that's how it works. That's how someone who's the director of Thrive can also serve as a county commissioner. We just have to be very transparent about it and very honest.
Well, like Ryan's saying, basically, you have to have faith that your county commissioner will conscientiously do their job. If they think there's a hint of conflict of interest, they should step aside. But let's be honest about it. A lot of decisions have been made in the past where people could argue this person on the board shouldn't make these decisions on like a zoning decision because they own a farm. Should a person have to step aside if his business, like Ryan's, for electronics, he should actually recuse himself if he's dealing with that person. But being as he is a person trained in electronics, he's also a great amount of value to the county commission to educate the rest of the people on the commission what's going on. Come the time for the vote, I'm going to leave it up to their conscience, because I don't know what gears are doing in their head. I know what we hear out front. Let's not just make the rule that because you work here, you can't run for county commissioner. The right to be a public servant is for everybody. That means people that sitting out here in the audience. That means people walking up and down the street.
Do we have any other questions from the crowd?
I'm Zane Williams. I was a past planning and zoning member in 2016 when there was a lot of controversy over the hog buildings. A lot of 1 o'clock meetings. How do you plan to appropriately balance the needs of agriculture and urban sprawl in Yankton County? One thing that I was unaware of when I was on planning and zoning, it was 20 acres for an acreage. I believe it's now 5. Is that right?
10.
10? And I fought that because I don't believe it. We will lose thousands and thousands of acres to urban sprawl, and we're protecting our farmland, your food. We start to need to go up instead of out. But how are you going to protect agriculture with the urban sprawl
So like the lake area, Zane, is that exempt? So the lake area is okay, or what are you talking about? Yeah, yeah. That's one thing you and I we don't. That's one thing you and I agree on. Yeah, yeah. No, and you and I agreed on quite a few things. We agreed reasonable setbacks, and I think that's one thing we can agree on. Safe and reasonable, and it is a balancing act. You know, how do we protect our ag land, but still have opportunities for people, right? I mean, we're not talking about completely not building another house, and that's not what you're talking about, obviously. So yeah, that's the balancing act. How do we do that? And it's not always easy. You know, the lake area is filling up pretty fast, right? And you know, what do we do after that? And on my time, at least about 8 years, we've not rezoned any agricultural zoned property. We have rezoned some rural transitional property into what's that? Yeah, yeah. And I think like what we could say is you need to focus that in certain areas. The lake area is comes to mind because a lot of the water is already there. There's already a lot of houses like that. But really, it's a balancing act. We got to have safe and reasonable for everybody and able for them to thrive. So thank you for the question.
And thank you for the question. I think that Yankton County is the urban sprawl is it's expanding, and more people are moving out to the country. They want their little slice of heaven, and that was more so apparent to me when I attended week after week the county commission meetings in reference to the wind complex, industrial complex that was being proposed and is being proposed out in Turkey Valley. When it comes to growing our food, people are going to get really hungry if we don't start taking in consideration who is and how are we growing our food. Um, I think that Yankton does need to take a look at our ag zoning. It is, I think that it needs to make we need to make sure it's fair and we aren't um, infringing upon anyone's property rights, but we also need to allow people to farm and and I'm not sure how that'll look. I think it's going to take some. I've already had quite a few conversations on the phone, in-depth conversations on the phone with young farmers who want to expand, and we have to get out in the county and we have to talk to them and start communicating and find ways to make sure that we are allowing our ag producers here in Yankton County an opportunity to expand and also allowing those of us who live in the country who may not necessarily be farmers to also enjoy your little piece of paradise. And we all have to learn how to work together and do that. And I think that's what's awesome about Yankton County is it can be done. Okay?
All right, so this is a zoning question, really. Let's start off with ag zones. That's how we protect it. Smart zonings, and we need to have look at our zoning map and be smart about it. We need to think about our zoning map in a long term that protects ag for long term. Also allows the city to grow in the smart ways, where the services for housing can be provided, but some cases where sewer systems can't be expanded to, we should probably not start opening that up to housing. So we have to be smart about it. We have to look at the map as a whole. That's the whole point of zoning is to have smart planning. Next thing about the ag zones. Right now, I've said it before, said it many times. Some of the setbacks are ridiculous. Um, I hate the idea of using setbacks as our zoning law, as the principal way we zone. I was against the setbacks with solar and wind because they didn't make sense. Same thing with hog barns and cattle yards. The setbacks aren't doing anything other than restricting them unreasonably. So we need to have smart zoning. We need to have smart laws that actually address real problems rather than just setting up something to appease some crowd. So And that's one of those hard things. You got to listen to the people, but we have to be smart about what we are doing. They have to address real problems and with solutions.
You know, I agree with what Ryan said. I think part of the biggest problem we have with our zoning ordinance is that we've limited how much profit that farmer who's working day and night to keep that farm in operation so he can pass it on to his sons or daughters down the road. Inflation's gone up, their costs have gone up, government programs have been discontinued because East Coast and West Coast wants all our money, and we get cut out here in the middle. A person can't keep a business, and a farm is a business, going if you're limited or told what your limit is that you can produce out of that business. How do you keep a young son or daughter on the farm continuing the family way when they see mom and dad toiling to exist, pay their taxes, put food on the table, help out their children going to college or whatever, if they cannot expand their operation? I mean, you might have made a lot of money back in the old days at 500 head of cattle. Nowadays, 500 head of cattle puts you out of business. You got to let that business grow. Thank you.
So balancing ag and urban sprawl, I think that Ryan did a good job of explaining the smart, reasonable ways that that can happen. I am a big believer, let ag stay in ag. We do not need to be putting individual homes out in the middle of rural areas unless those people fully understand ag is priority there, because it's going to be dusty. It's going to smell. There are things that happen in ag areas that do not traditionally happen in what I would call a city center. So let's be developing out on the periphery of the city limits of the communities that we have and start growing those out rather than putting neighborhoods out in areas that should be focusing on rural. Because I do believe that farmers should have the opportunity to diversify their revenue sources, whatever that looks like for the farmers to do. It might be cattle, it might be hogs, it might be turkeys, it might be dairies, whatever that might be. But they should have the opportunity to diversify to create a long-term revenue source to keep their farms viable. And how do we do this as a county? We have civil conversations because not everybody wants the same thing. There is no one right answer. So we have to have those civil conversations to try and find some type of a resolution for the ag community.
All right, we're closing. You just close.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, thank you once again for coming and listening to us. County Commission was something I never ever dreamed that I would run for. But once again, neither was House of Representatives, and here I am. It has been a complete and total honor to serve you 4 years in the House of Representatives in the state of South Dakota. I have learned an immense amount of knowledge. The number one thing I've learned is you have to be bold, you have to be brazen to allow the people's voice to be heard. And all too often, your voice gets lost in all the noise of economic development, and we got to make more money here, and we got to bring this new company here, and we got to bring a pipeline, and we got to bring wind, and we got to bring solar, and we got to bring data centers. And so often, the people who are actually here, the legacy South Dakotans who are here, get forgotten. And I want to be your voice locally. I want farmer's voice, the small business owner voice. I want to be your truthful voice to tell you exactly what's going on, to tell you where your tax dollars are actually being spent. Because they may not necessarily be spent for the future of your benefit, but for the future of benefit of a large corporation It's going to just put more of our small businesses out of business. And I want to see our small businesses survive and continue to thrive in Yankton County, because that's what makes true community. And that's what's going to keep Yankton County the greatest county in South Dakota. Thank you.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out. It's a great crowd, and it's really nice to see. Um, the government business. What is the government's business? It's service. And that's what I want to see our government do better. It, it does a good job now, but it can always do better. There's always room for improvement, and there's always new things coming up. And I see a lot of things that I've started in my first 4 years, and I want to keep them going. I want to make sure that we keep building a better service for people. And I want to be the voice of reason and facts. And when you're the voice of reason and facts, people will understand you, and you're transparent when you're dealing with just reason and facts. Um, I work really hard all the time in my county commission position to be somewhat compartmentalized, always to think about what's the other side, separate myself from the problem so that I can look at things logically, but then also come back and actually listen to the people too, to make a balanced and reasoned judgment. So I just hope that everyone really has liked my first 4 years and would like to vote for me again and see me continue my work.
I agree with a lot with what Ryan said. Myself personally, I think the biggest strength our county commission can be is lobbyists. We need extra money coming up. So I think we need to be a person out there that can go up to the governor's office up there and say, hey, we need this. You can't afford it? Talk to them boys out there in Washington and have them get over their tea parties and all that stuff. Help us out. We got problems. We need help. Once again, communication. One thing I mentioned at the Utica Forum is my campaign is self-financed. I will not take a financial contribution from any of you. If you have money that you want to give, check out your nonprofits with the budget year coming up here after the primary, believe it or not. There are some of our community projects that need help. So let's go with the 4-H program that was almost cut last year. Let's look at the contact center, which is more expensive this year. United Way, Boys and Girls Club. You know who you like, donate to them. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go back to my story. So think an hour ago when I was talking about Walmart was passed here in Yankton, and I felt I hadn't been listened to, but I had been listened to, because a lot of those same commissioners came to me after that and said, you should run for city commission. You are someone who listened. You are someone, even when we voted against what you wanted, you didn't pitch a fit. You didn't fuss and whine to the newspaper about it. You accepted that's what the commission voted for, and you worked to find other resolutions. So there was fencing that was put around the detention area, and some shades put on the lighting, and trees around the back of Walmart. But really, that's what it was. I felt that I was doing my part for the community to fight for something, but the government voted something different, and that's okay. I'm really proud that I spent 9 years on the city commission, 2 years as mayor. Jean was the first female mayor of Yankton. I was the second female mayor of Yankton. So it's really exciting to be a part of a community that cares and gives back. So you're not going to see a lot of yard signs from me, but that doesn't mean I don't care about your community. I want to have those one-on-one conversations to hear more from you. So thank you for participating in your government.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Gayville, what a great community. Just to like to go over my other elected job on the James River Water District, some of the things I was able to help with this community right here. 2018, 2019, when the lagoon liner started falling apart, I was able to get you guys a $10,000 grant. In 2024, there's a drainage issue in the new park equipment, $4,000 grant. And then you guys are trying to upgrade your sanitary improvement project. So I was able to help with another $50,000 grant for this community. Now, I've been honored to have served you guys for 8 years, and I would be honored to continue to serve for 4 more. Why? Quite simply, I love Yankton County. It's my home, and it's been my family's home for 140 years. I served you guys as a soldier overseas in combat, and I want to continue serving here. Yankton County, in my opinion, it represents the absolute best of America. And I'm honored to be here and serve, and I will continue to work hard. A few of the other projects that I've worked on as the president of the County Commission Association, SB 240, $5 million in rural access infrastructure funding. That's going to help counties and townships, Mike, with rural access infrastructure. Senate Bill 187, $5 million in cybersecurity funding. So I'm willing to put in the extra work, go to peer. Thank you.